In this section, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the scoring structure of the game. So first off, in order to create the basic score structure, we have to have a score and a high score variable. And you'll see here at the top, we have our score and high score variables set. They are originally set at 0 apiece. We could actually add in the high score system a way to save the high score. We could also make this a table where we could have more than one high score, show a top 5, top 3, something similar to that. But for now, we're just going with the single high score. So let's go ahead and take a look at how the score works. So as we covered in the last section, we have a system in the level to determine where the X location is of the scoring point at any point in time, and we compare that. Once we receive that score location, we compare that with the player's location with this score difference. So we find the difference between the X location of the player and the X location of the scoring point. And once we have that difference, we use a basic formula to figure out how many points the player gains per second based on their current location. And then we add that to the score itself. Now, we can change the score all we want, but we also still need to update the UI so the player can see at any period in time what their score is. So we have this score text object, and we change its text every frame so it represents what the actual score is. Now, let's also take a look here at how the score is reset. So every time a new game starts, the score is set back to 0. Since we have it where the score adds to itself every frame, if this did not reset to 0 every frame, the score would just continue to grow upon itself. So we can see here if we play a round and go for a score, that if whatever our score here is at the end, if we don't set this back to 0 every time a new game starts, then we actually start with the score that was available in the last playthrough. So we actually start really at an advantage, and it becomes an accumulated score instead of a score per round. So we have this 234,080. We restart, we'll see our score is still 200, 2,000, and such. So we need to reset our score to 0 every round, otherwise we just grow upon our score. Now, when the level ends, when our round is actually over, we have to see if our score is the high score. This is quite simple. We just check to see if score is higher than the high score, then the high score becomes the current score. So if you get a higher score than what's currently set, then it becomes the high score. Now your first round, you will always get the high score because the original high score was set to 0. So unless you somehow achieve getting 0 points, you will get a new high score. Now, once that's occurring, we have to show the high score. So in the title screen, we have the UI that's added here, that we have 2 items. We have the high score label, and that just says high score. And then we have the high score itself shown on the screen. Now we are rounding this so we don't have any decimal places. So this shows the high score label and the high score itself. So this is the basics for showing the high score as well. And of course when this restarts, when we actually hit the restart and the new game starts, it sets the score back to 0, updates the UI, so this UI element shows the current score as 0 and not what it is here, and the game carries on. So that's the basics of score. It's a pretty simple system. It is just one variable that we're tracking for score, and then one that we hold on to for the high score, and that handles all of the scoring structure for the game. In the next stage, we're going to look at the entirety of the title screen, the end game scenario, and how the game ends and starts over.